Hi, I am a prophet and I have just purchased Mario Party Jamboree or whatever you pronounce this fucking game. I'm not quite sure. I have the fuck off. Have my chocolate here. What is the connection with the chocolate and the Mario game? I will play the Mario game tomorrow. We'll play it tomorrow because I don't think, or should I play it today? I don't know. Play today. My father says give it a go. Okay, I will. Um, so if I have to do this, I have my Mario. Have my fuck my life. I have my coffee. I have my elephant Ellie. She's here. Have her water. I will ask Copilot because I started the game yesterday with my mom. How can I start Mario Jamboree again? Like I never played it before for my channel, aka like factory settings from the game itself and see what it says. So to start Mario Party Jamboree like you've never played it before, you'll need to reset the game data or your Nintendo Switch profile. This can be done by deleting saved data or creating a new user profile. Option: delete saved data for the game. Go to your Nintendo Switch home screen. Select System Settings, Gear icon. Okay, Gear icon. Okay. Scroll down to Data Management. Okay. Choose delete saved data. Select Mario. This only affects the selected user. If you want to keep your current profile intact, use option 2. Okay. Okay, choose delete save data for your user. Okay, so that's the one. Super Mario Party Jamboree. Delete save data for this for me, right? Yeah, I want to delete save. Okay, you deleted them. Okay, now I go like it began. Now we will do it like we have never begun the game. Okay, so my father told me for today if I would like to speak about Richard III, he said, but in the manner of a mystic. He said if you wanna speak about the case as a mystic, analyze things about the story, but as a mystic. Okay, I can do that, I suppose. I can do that, it's not a difficult thing. But I guess let's begin with the game now. And then after we see the game, we can start with this as a side quest, I suppose. Okay, this current backup and download status of your saved data is displayed here. There is undownloaded saved data. Start. What do you mean with that? Okay. Oopsie. Copilot. I tried to play the game. Now. I selected option. I leave it up and I'm not gonna delete the footage that you see on screen in case somebody has the same issue. They can actually follow what I did. That's why I leave it up. Selected option 1 of what you gave me, Copilot. And I have a picture on screen saying start software or close, and it says the current backup and downloaded load status of your save data is displayed here. Helga, my profile. There is undownloaded content. Oh, undownloaded save data on the server. What should I do? Okay. Thanks for the clear update. Here's exactly what happened, what to do. What you are seeing when you delete your local save data for Mario Party, your Nintendo Switch notices that the cloud backup data still exists for your profile. That's why it's asking whether to download that old save data or not. What to do step by step. On the screen that says start software or close, just start software. Okay. If it asks you whether to download the cloud save, choose no or skip. The game will launch as if it was never been played before you're on your profile. Okay, start. So now we started as if it never started before. Okay. I didn't know that the game has like an option. Like when it starts, it makes you a tour. You will see it with Kamek, and yeah, that's what actually confused me, because I thought that it would just have like play or not play and shit, and you will have the story in your own profile itself. So when playing with a Joy-Con, attach the strap by following the steps provided and hold it securely without letting go. Allow adequate room around you during gameplay. Be aware of your surroundings. Close. Okay, I haven't ever used the straps. Like I just have them out of it, if that makes sense. So there you are. Welcome to a bigger, bolder Super Mario Party. I'm gonna read. The time's wasting, so let's get into it. I present the arenas where superstars are born. Behold. We begin with the forest. My, that's an exciting scent. Look at that big log taking a snooze. Wonder what happens when Wiggler smells. Volcano looms over this tropical island ready to erupt with ground-shaking force. There is much to discover, like paths that change with the tide. Spending along to the raceway, where your cars in and out of the park leave your opponents in the dust. Okay. Never seen a mall this big, have you? Of course you haven't. Escalators will whisk you from floor to floor. Shop your little heart out. I bet you think I'm about to let you loose and explore. Not so fast. You thought competing for superstardom was only one way to play, didn't you? Move and cook to the best and rhythm kitchen, okay. Soar through the sky like a winged minion in Paratupa, okay. Work as a team to convey balls to the goal and craft items in Toad's Item Factory. In the mood for mini games, mix it up in mini game bay, okay. Now how could we possibly lurk in this mysterious place? You're going to find out, hehehe. Can you smell the excitement? The competition has gathered. Okay. Everyone wants to be the superstar, even if they never played before. And since it's fallen upon me to get this production up and running, okay, I've decided to have a little fun, okay. Shazam. Okay, bet you didn't see that coming. Bye bye, Magic Koopa. Hello, Humongous Imposter Bowser. Wondering where he will make this entrance? You'll just have to wait and see. With that, it's finally time to start. Are you ready? Let the party begin. Okay. How many people will play on this system? It's only one. Okay, so this is the character. So you don't have in this game you don't have dry bones. Okay, I wanna play with Boo obviously. Who else? He's my favorite character. Boo. He's so cute. Okay. Welcome to the party plaza. I'm your humble guide, Toad. It's my job to make sure you're familiar with the goings on around here before you start your adventure. Finish things first, this party plaza will always be your starting point. I'll get into more details about the party plaza later. For now, hop on the hot air balloon and I'll tell you all about the nearby islands. All aboard. Okay, so that's the only thing I can do. Okay, I have Boo. He's my favorite. Okay, so I'm gonna take this as a screenshot, I suppose. No, as a picture. A picture. I'm gonna use my phone. Okay. Let's hop up in the. Yeah. So we'll now take this balloon, air balloon, and we go to. I don't know where we are going actually. Okay, this is where your adventure begins. There's some real exciting stuff in store for you. Let me give you a quick rundown of the islands. First up, in the superstar of the show, the island where we play Mario Party. Here you can compete for superstardom across the different boards. I bet you can't wait to get down there and give them a try. Next up, it's Motion Island. Use your Joy-Con in fun movement-based games either on your own or with friends. This spooky island is where you'll face Bowser challenges. Work as a team of 8 players to take down Imposter Bowser or put on your running shoes and compete in a race with 20 players. Finally, there is Minigame Bay. If you are itching to play some minigames, this is the place for you. Have some fun in the sun with a bunch of different ways to play. And that brings my island introductions to a close. It's gonna be tough to decide where you want to play first, huh? Okay, so you can use this map to see all the islands at a glance too. Last but not least, let's talk about the party plaza. Smack dab in the middle of the map in the party plaza where we began on our tour. Here you'll find Kamek, who is a little stressed about our party preparations. Might be worth seeing what all that's about. Kamek is Magic Koopa, he's the dude in the beginning. Okay. You can also pay a visit to some shops, view your records, and even play online with friends. There is lots of fun to be had even in the party plaza, so take some time to walk around and scope things out. With that, I will let you loose. Have a great time. The classic board game. Roll dice to move along the board and collect stars to become the superstar. Rhythm Kitchen. Move your body and cook to the rhythm. Work together to earn 5 stars. Toad's Item Factory. Okay. Tell the Joy-Con to help the Toads get the ball to the goal. Good for when you want to take a load of Paratroopa, Bowser, Copadion. It's 20-player minigame coin race. Get past Imposter Bowser and finish in first. Can I do that? Helga, you have played Mario Race already. Look, I'm gonna try this one and then I'm gonna try the first one, the Mario Party with the classic board game rules. I tried to play yesterday with my mom, the one with the shopping center. You can shop and you are rolling the dice and you go according to how much you have rolled it. So I'm gonna do that and then I'm gonna speak about the Richard III shit. Copadion is a race where 20 players participate, collect coins in minigames. Each coin you snag moves you one space forward. Imposter Bowser will do his darndest to get in your way, so steer clear and focus on reaching the finish line first. Okay, I wanna go back. Do you wanna give it a rest? And you could see what it's all about. Maybe later I would prefer to do this then. Go Mario Party. Here's what we have, the all-time classic Mario Party. Why did you change your mind? Because I saw that it is the exact same game that I'm gonna play now, so I said maybe go to what I was playing yesterday. That's what I did. So roll dice to move forward and collect stars. Allies will appear occasionally to help you out on your road to superstardom. Okay. Who will your opponents be? Worldwide CPUs. I don't wanna go worldwide yet because I'm a beginner. I haven't played one level yet in total. So CPUs. Alright, I'll explain party rules. Roll dice to move around the board. There are 3 types of spaces. The hooray, watch out, how exciting. Okay, so we want to have either blue or green, as I can see, not red. I think so. After each player has had a turn, everyone will clash in a mini game. Okay, win mini games to get coins. Once you've collected 20 coins, you can exchange them for a star. The player with the most stars at the end wins and earns the title of superstar. Okay, and this time some friends are joining in on the fun. Okay, introducing Jamboree buddies. Okay. Who can help you out with all sorts of neat abilities. Hope I pronounced the word correctly, if that makes sense. So Yoshi, while moving, copy items from opponents you pass. Also, just having one with you can allow you to do a bunch of things twice. When with an ally, 2 stars, 40 coins, get 2 R1s. They appear on the board now and again, so pay them a visit if they do. However, they'll only join you as your ally if you win in a mini game against the other players. Okay. The player who initiates the mini game will gain an advantage, so it pays to be quick. The player who initiates the mini game will gain an advantage. Okay, so it pays to be. Okay, so I have to be quick into this. Okay. That's all for the explanation. We are off on a journey to superstardom. Okay, now let's pick a board. Where do you want to play? 3 party, Gooba Lagoon, Mega Wiggler Steep Party, Rainbow Galleria, a 3-story shopping mall crammed with stores to visit. So I was in that place yesterday. I didn't finish it, so let's go back into it. So, is my camera focusing? Okay, it focuses. I think I have created about 3-4 files so far. Like my camera, when I am focusing, the button that you use to focus the camera is the exact same button that you use to start recording, and sometimes when you press it very harshly or whatever, it stops recording, and I did the exact same thing, as you can imagine. And yeah, I had this issue. So start with these opponents. So who are my opponents? Players. This is me. Player settings. Okay. I can change them at will. No, I don't care about it's okay with them. Can I go hard, master, select for each, easy, normal, hard, master. Okay, easy. I want easy because I'm also playing for my fun. For fun, I'm not playing to become I think that was too loud, by the way. I'm not playing to become like an expert. I'm trying to see how it goes for starters. Let's go easy. And I'm also explaining shits here, so playing harshly when I actually expect my period as well, and I am not really in the mood of like overthinking and shit. So yeah, easy would be better for me if I wanna speak about shits as well. So speed, normal, fast, normal, fast only, so it's only two. Okay, normal then. Handicap. Change everyone's handicap. So in the game, Copilot. In the game, it says change everyone's handicap, and it has me a star, the others no stars. What is this? The screen is asking if you want to adjust the starting advantage for each player before the game begins. Here is what it means. So, the handicap settings in Mario Party Jamboree. So, the star next to your game means you're currently set to start the game with 1 star. The other players will have no stars, meaning they will start with 0 stars. This is meant to balance the game if one player is less experienced, or if you want to give someone a head start. If you want everyone to start equally, set everyone to 0 stars. You can use the controller to select each player and adjust their handicap. Okay, once everyone set how you want, confirm and start the game. So I am really not just unexperienced, I am the definition of not experienced. So I will take 5. So let's see how it goes, because I have no idea how you play it. And yesterday I had issues with how I was playing, so I will leave it like here. I will leave it very easy. So let's see how it goes, because I'm still confused. Okay, so yes. Okay, do you want to start the party with these settings? If so, then let's go to it. Okay, number of turns about 90 minutes. Party settings. Okay, then it has settings for number of turns. It says 10, around 90 minutes, and so on. Bonus stars, mini game help, which is on, and motion mini games, which is also on. Explain me. Here is a clear breakdown of each setting you are seeing. Okay, number of turns. This sets how long the game will last. 10 turns, 90 minutes is an estimate based on average play speed. You can choose more or fewer turns depending on how long you want the session to be. The shorter games are great for film or casual play. Longer games are more strategic and chaotic. At the end of the game, extra stars are rewarded based on hidden achievements like most coins collected, most mini games won, most spaces moved. Turning this on adds unpredictability. Might someone losing might win in the end. So, okay, on. Okay. Okay, you learn this minigame on by default to help new people, and motion minigames. There are minigames that use the Joy-Cons motion controls. Tilting, shaking, pointing. On means they'll be included. Off, it means they will not be included. I will select off for today because I am beginner. Okay. So I will do that. So let's go then. So we will play an entire game for 90 minutes approximately. Okay. Okay. Welcome one and all. Here we're here to find out which of you has what it takes to be the superstar. Is this anyone's first time playing on this board? Yes. Great, then allow me to explain how it works. This three-story shopping mall is full of unique stores. Enjoy shopping spree. Okay. Every 5 turns we'll have a flash sale where everything is half price. What an amazing deal. Okay. There are the 4 Koopa Troopa stamp stations. Collect stamps and exchange them for coins. Exchange stamps for coins. Here stamps are worth 10 coins each. Exchange all 4 stamps at once for 50 coins. After shopping and joining the raffle, the more things you buy, the more times you can draw, win wonderful prizes. So much to do, how exciting. Now let's use dice to determine the turn order. Okay. Before we begin, here's 10 coins to get each of you going. Okay. Roll the dice block and make for where the star is. The first star is there. Yesterday it was on the other side. Here collect 20 coins to trade for it and head on over. Now that you're all set, it's time to get this show on the road. Give it your best shot out there. Good luck and have fun. Okay. So it's first time we play it. Okay. Okay. Oh my god, she passed me. I select this. One coin shop. He lost a coin. Okay. Oh my god. Oh. Nothing. Okay, we play mini game. Keep your cool and avoid the magmars and fire bar. Okay. Now I see. Now I am practicing. Okay. You have to avoid it. You have to keep being like that. Okay, we start. Okay. We start. Ah, I won. I won. Okay, so I'm first. Your turn, Boo. Okay. Okay. Now I see. Look around. Dice block. 4 again. Fuck my life. So yeah, it is an easy game, I can see. Granite Getaway. So it is an easy game. So let's see. I've talked about the Richard III story in my channel very much. Run, get away from the giant boulder. Okay, where is my character? I can't find Boo. You have to jump, it says. Okay. Okay, only Yoshi is remaining there. Okay, I'm running. Look, don't I have an advantage because I am a ghost? My father says a spirit. Oops. So look, there was a documentary about Richard III. I think they call The Princess in the Tower, but I'm not quite sure. We can skip it, play a little bit. So my father said I can speak as a mystic for the story this time. He said you spoke about history and they said about facts and facts. Speak about it as a mystic, okay? Because he says that they silenced me. That's what he says, okay? So I've spoken about this. I didn't do it. I was planning to do a dissertation about it. Actually, before I went to the like what's that called, the religious department. Okay. Um. So yeah, I I have like a very long story. Like if those of you who are here from 2018, you would know what I'm talking about. But uh, I never spoke about it like as a proper theologian, mystic, philosopher, because let's say I didn't exactly know how to explain some things that I could see in the story without like, hi, I'm talking with Zeus, I am talking with Yahweh, that's why I know this stuff. Like, I didn't know that it could pass for something like that, but I hadn't imagined that people are talking with demons and they say such stuff. So because I was doing my deity work and my spiritual practice for my dad, I didn't know that I was talking with the devil when I was talking with Zeus. I thought that I was talking with Yahweh. I've said this many times. Um, it was practically crazy for me to say this, and that. That's what I'm saying. So, today I'm not gonna do like what I was doing back in the days because I was really disciplined, like the scholars are, and I can't say I really enjoyed it, but I was trying to like fit in, and yeah, that's not really my character. That's what I'm trying to say. And oh my god, my phone actually doesn't have battery. So I have here my documentary. The documentary. Hope they don't ban me or anything. Like this is fair use. This is fair use. I'm saying it. I know nobody will care if it is not. But yeah, The Princess in the Tower, that was published 10 years ago, and it's with David Starkey, who is, yeah, to this day actually he's my favorite historian. He's my favorite scholar. I was never allowed to talk about this guy because he's seen as like a very racist, misogynist person, and I don't agree about that at all. I have the best memories from his documentaries. He's very informative. He's never biased with what he says. Like even if he likes a historical figure, like he likes Henry VIII, he doesn't say he did everything well. He's very honest. Like yeah, he did bullshit, but he's very straightforward, and he says like I like him even though he did stupid stuff. I still find him inspiring and fascinating, and I don't say exactly I agree with what he did. I'm just saying that he's fascinating as a figure, and I like the honesty that he has, and I think that it's, yeah, that's ironic, right? It's quite difficult to find a scholar today that doesn't, like, we have a saying in Greece. It says you are kissing pieced aprons for money, and that means like pieced, like they have p on it, like that phrase. That's a Greek standard phrase. It's not slur, it's not slang, it's not like an offensive one. It's standard Greek. You can write it in an essay, as far as I know. um, it means that you would do everything you can, even kill your mother, let's say, to become famous and rich and climb up in the society, in the high class shit. As Greeks, we were always very poor. We always promoted equality and shit. And having people from higher classes in our culture is a little bit, you raise eyebrows if you are in the elite class. That's what I mean. Like in China, if you are higher, that's seen as good. In Greece, it's not. If you go higher, they think in Greece. That's why we say if the monkey goes higher, you see her ass. In Greece, we think if you go higher, you have done something horrible to go there, because my father is laughing. That means for us that if you go higher, you have probably bribed people, probably stolen money, probably like done illegal stuff. If you are in the government, for example, we always say if somebody was a nobody and now he is in the government, we say who knows what he has done to get where he is. That's what we say. And if we have politicians who are from, how we call them fireplaces, Jackie, fireplace. That word means the guy that goes higher in the hierarchy, like in the classes, in the social classes. Okay, and once in upon a time, let's say 100 years ago, that guy went higher, he became a politician, and now his entire family, his descendants, let's put it that way, are all politicians. For example, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, our prime minister, he comes from a fireplace, exactly, because his father, who died some years ago, he died almost 100, he was a prime minister of Greece, and his son became a prime minister, and his sister, like the other daughter, she is a member of the parliament for years, and their entire family is connected to politics. Like they have a cousin, Bakoyannis is the surname, but I don't remember either the first name. I don't remember anything at this point. I think he's the mayor of Athens, or he was the mayor of Athens. I think so, or of Thessaloniki, the other big city. Helga, you don't know. These things happened after I left Greece, so I'm not really sure. My memory is losing me. He married a woman, a journalist, a reporter. Actually, she's a journalist, but she's a reporter at the moment, in Greek television. She's a right wing. Her name is Sia Koscioni. She's a very beautiful woman. Regardless, she married the cousin of the prime minister. They have their kids, and she was always praising the government. And if you are like, wow, that doesn't sound weird, yeah, exactly, that's what we say. I'm not saying that they are bad people. I actually really like the family. I think they are very friendly. I have a good opinion. I'm not saying about their politics. I don't know much about it. But as people, I would speak about people. I rarely have problems with the governments that people put into power in my country specifically. Like I didn't have any issues with the previous prime minister either, Alexis Tsipras. He was a communist. I really liked him as a person. I think he was very, very nice, very good father. He had some virtues, and I think he was credible. That's what I believe, and his government as well, as people. But he wasn't a fireplace politician. He was a guy that was interested, and he became a politician, and he ended up being in the government. And yes, there are people who say who knows what he did in order to become a prime minister. So yeah, even he has that, because in Greece, I'm not saying that he has done, I'm just explaining that for a Greek, if you go higher, you have this saying, the monkey that goes higher, her ass shows better. We believe that if somebody is higher in the social classes, he has done something horrible, or his relative has done something horrible. So if we speak about Kyriakos Mitsotakis, not about this guy, but for his father, who became a prime minister, and he started the family being involved into politics. So we have this saying, and yeah, what I'm trying to say is, yeah, I know in China, for example, this is completely the opposite, and it's crazy for me, because I don't know how to feel about it, because as a Greek, I really agree with how they trained me to think it, like they have done something wrong, but just because they taught me that maybe they have done something wrong to get where they are, we don't essentially judge them for that. We're not judgmental, we just state a fact that if they are there, they have bribed, they have stolen money, they probably shouldn't be there. That's why they are there, because they shouldn't. But we don't judge them because we are Christians, and Christianity is something very fundamental to being a Greek, and we don't judge people even if even if we suspect they are involved somewhere they shouldn't be. That makes sense. So yeah, obviously there are gonna be Greeks that will wish politicians to be dead and scholars and so on, but not the majority of the Greeks. There are Greeks that make fun of such Greeks that wish death and shit, and we castrate them from the society. So what I'm trying to say is that not my entire country is not like that. So if you see a Greek saying, I wish the prime minister was dead, that's not how Greeks usually are. Usually we make fun of these Greeks, and you will see them on television, like the reporters saying there are people who wish death on certain individuals. We condemn this act. So for a Greek person, this is unethical to do. That's what I'm saying, okay? So enough with the talking. I was talking about my favorite scholars. I don't have favorite scholars. I never really had, to be fair. I'm not that type of person. I'm not reading people like that. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Like I read for fun. I don't invest myself like that. But my favorite scholar probably, or not probably, he is David Starkey. But for a very specific reason, he kept me company. I didn't have friends at school, and I was going home and I was watching. My father says right now we were watching him together. Yeah, I suspected you would say that. I was watching this guy with my father, and like he reminds me like of a grandfather. I didn't have grandparents, but like David Starkey, even though he is a British, even though he is a random dude, and I have no connection with him, you get what I mean. He kept me company in a very dark era of my life when I didn't have friends and I wanted friends, and I was very young and teenager and shit. And he kept me company. He kept me a very good company, to be fair, and that's why I'm really grateful for him and his documentaries and all he's done, to be fair, because he was saying stuff that I didn't essentially agree with, because he's very old. The guy is about 80. He's a boomer, and he was saying stuff that I didn't agree with many times, and I was like, what the fuck is he talking about, because I was 16 and the guy was 70, and I was closing my television when I was watching him on my YouTube back then, and I was reflecting to what he was saying regardless. I was like, hold on, what if he's actually saying something that I should learn from it? And if you are like, Helga, why did you do that regardless? Because I was 16 and I was thinking, Helga, you disagree, but you are 16. How can you possibly know better than this dude who is actually 70 and he says this shit that he says? And I was starting thinking about it, and I came into some conclusions that I agree with some of the things he says. Still, I disagree with some others, but I agree with Emma Watson. You can agree to disagree with some people in some things and still hang around with them. That's my principle in my life. But he made me change opinion in many things in my life, including about how I see feminism. He made me realize not exactly that feminism is wrong. He never said that. I can't say that he has said that. He has never said that. He has explained, however, that like I'm making a general conclusion of his teachings as a scholar. I'm not saying like he has said this word for word. I'm just saying that this is what he teaches. If you pay attention to what he says, that yes, you can be a feminist and put forward what women have done in history, but don't overestimate stuff that women haven't done because you are trying to identify with them. Just say the truth about them, and I agree with that, what he is trying to say, because at least this is what I have gotten that he says, as I said, because there are people who say that woman, that wife of Henry VIII, she was an amazing person and she contributed and she hasn't done anything. And feel free to say that you like this wife and that wife. For example, I really like, for example, Anne of Cleves. She was the German wife of Henry. He didn't want to be married to her. There have been a lot of speculation why this was the case. I don't care about their marriage bed. It didn't work out for them, and that's it for me. I don't know why they make it such a big issue, why he didn't want her to be his wife. He didn't he didn't meet her himself. She didn't choose him either. They didn't want to be together. I don't get why feminists stress so much that he didn't want her, and maybe she wasn't a virgin, maybe she was a virgin, maybe she was ugly, maybe she wasn't ugly. Yeah, Henry, he said that she's ugly, I don't want her, but I agree at the same time. Maybe that's not how you should speak, but he lived so many years ago, 5 centuries ago, and he didn't choose her. So if this happened today, it would be exactly the same, but it will be on Tinder. And my father says you see hypocrisy. Yes, I see hypocrisy, because today, if Henry chose Anne of Cleves, he would have said, look, she's on Tinder, I don't like her ass, I don't like her lip fillers, I want another woman. And nobody would pay attention to that, because this is how Tinder works, smash or pass. And just because a king did it so many years ago, and he didn't have the means to know the woman he was meeting, like they weren't permitted to date like normal people because of the church, and that's something that's completely at fault, the church is at fault with. And even though they couldn't, and the only way to know a person was through portraiture, which is highly unreliable, obviously, because it's a drawing, it's not a picture, you get what I mean, but they didn't have any other thing to know. Just because he said she's ugly, I don't want her, everybody is, I don't know, everybody's shocked by that, like, as if nobody's doing that anymore. Like, I like this guy because he has a nice ass, I don't like this woman, she has lip fillers and shit. Like, we see it every day on the internet, but for some reason the problem lies with Henry, and I find it hypocritical, that's what I'm saying. And yeah, I don't like how he said it about her, but I know that men think like that, and I'm sure that she thought the same. And like, she was a woman in the world, she knew that people are thinking like that, obviously. She didn't live in another planet, she wasn't an alien, but she didn't contribute anywhere in the history of England, anywhere. She didn't create a war, she didn't finish a war, she didn't have kids that tried to snatch the throne or anything, or be a patron for the arts. And women and scholars are trying to say she was wonderful, she was amazing, she did this, and no, she didn't do anything. But that doesn't mean that she was not important person, that she was not a good person, that she was not a good woman, that I don't think that she deserved to live or anything. One thing and another thing, they are two separate things, and scholars, that's why I was pissed, and I abandoned my methodology, and I abandoned my department, and I became a theologian, and I wasn't keen to become a historian anymore. They mix their emotions about the historical figure, which is, that's okay. Talk about her as a woman. Say, I admire Anne of Cleves because I think she was very powerful for not giving up when Henry tried to call her ugly. And I think that she can teach women that they can survive even if they are not chosen by a guy. Or I think that she was very lucky, or anything like that. The fact that they don't, that just proves to me that my father says they don't do it because they find her inspirational, they just wanna grab money. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I understood that they are trying to grab money and attention, and that's why I didn't want to be with them anymore. Anyways, so I'm not gonna discuss about this anymore. I think I've said enough. We're gonna discuss about this topic. As I said, I have spoken extensively about Richard III. I'm not gonna speak about him much longer and again, because I have done this even when I was on my Instagram, and those of you who are here still, I did these sessions on my Instagram, and yeah, I was getting a lot of attention back then, and a lot of backlash as well, a lot of backlash. I had even done a podcast with another historian to be. He was an undergraduate as well, if I remember correct. We had done a podcast. I have the file somewhere on my old computer, or on my emails probably. I also have done, I searched on my library for this topic. It was very important for me. I actually made an an attempt to publish something. I didn't start anything. I have said this already on my past, in my past on this channel. I wanted to write a scholar book. I didn't start it. But I wanted to do it. I was searching stuff for it. I had made notes what I want to say, because I had stuff that I knew from the spirits from my dad. I didn't, Zeus didn't tell me anything about it. Just to clarify, from my dad, Yahweh, that's where I knew that. And I wanted to prove what I know from the spirit world pretty much through scholar material, because as I said, I didn't know exactly. You can just begin a book and say, hi, I talk with Yahweh, or I talk with Zeus, or whatever. I want to say some stuff that I know about this topic, and that's why I wanted to explain myself through scholars, and that's why I made my notes. I actually have them by my drawer at the moment. They have to be somewhere in my old notebooks, that's what I mean. And I was doing a lot of work on that thing, and I messaged a teacher, a historian from my old discipline. I think his name was Alastair Mann, and I'm saying his name because my father said say his name. Okay, I did. He had written a book about James II of Scotland, and UK basically, James the Seventh, James II of Britain, and he had like a how to say it, like an experience in publishing. He had spoken about it in class, and I asked him on my email, how can you do it if you want to do something? And I said I want to do it for Margaret and the Prince in the Tower, and I said that they are accusing a woman of witchcraft, and they are accusing also Elizabeth Woodville, who is the mother of the Princess in the Tower, for witchcraft. And I said I want to clear their name, that they were not witches. That was my problem. My father says, your problem was this. Yeah, my problem was, I said to him that they are accusing of murder two women that didn't have anything to do with it. The one of them was their mother. The other woman, Margaret Beaufort, who is my idol, I said she was the godmother, and they are accusing both women, the scholars, I said, are accusing both women of witchcraft, and that's not the case. And my father says, did you tell him that you are involved in witchcraft? No, I didn't. Obviously I didn't. I didn't say that I know about that stuff, and that's why I say what I say. But yeah, I said that I want to clear their name, and I wanted to say, I told him that Richard was a murderer, and I have proof for that because I speak a lot of languages, and I can prove from other sources, from other languages, that he was a killer, if you let me, obviously, because they usually use only English sources. I want to use Scottish, French, and Latin. I was trying to learn Latin. I know very basic Latin, but I can work with it because it's part of my heritage as a Greek. Hi, I am a Greek. And I know French. I said that I have a diploma in French, and I can work with the sources about Louis Le Pouvoir Fracas. He was Louis, I think he was Louis XII or Louis XI, I don't remember. Helga, what are you saying? Louis the 11th of France, or the 12th of France, I don't remember exactly. Le Pouvoir Fracas, that's like the Spider King. Okay, I have read about him and Anne de Beaujeu, his daughter. I think Charles, his son was his son. He was like 8. Charles was his name. I'm not quite sure actually. I think he was named Charles, and Anne was the regent. I know a bit of French monarchy. I know that he was the Dauphin, and his father was sick. but he had said in his deathbed that the idiot in in England killed his nephews, and Louis was afraid actually of his own son because he was a boy, he was around 8, and because Anne was in my age, Anne de Beaujeu was around 20, 24, 23, 26, I don't remember. He had instructed in his will, Louis Pouvoir Fracas, that I want my son to be governed by my daughter. Specifically, he wanted it to be inside the family, and he said, because I am afraid of the English king, maybe he will kill my son because he's a kid, and he killed his nephews and he took the throne, and he was afraid because of the 100 years war. The 100 years war. Yeah, I think I said correctly. The 100 years war that happened between England and France, he was afraid maybe it will be repeated with Richard, and maybe he will kill his son, the boy. My father says so he was a good father. Yes, the reports say that he loved his daughter very much. My father says he wanted her as a regent. Yeah, he loved her very much, that's what we know, and he loved his son very much as well. And he wanted to protect them, and he thought that this is the best thing he can do to save both his son and his daughter. To put the daughter, who was a woman, my father says so he was a feminist. Probably you can say that she couldn't legally take the throne because she was, even though she was the firstborn, she couldn't take the throne for herself because she was a woman, and that was not allowed in France. In France, there was never a woman that was a queen. The closest a woman has been to a queen in France was with Queen Marie Antoinette, the one that I uploaded on my channel. Close, not exactly as I said. Catherine de Medici, she was a regent, and Anne de Beaujeu, who was also a regent. So a de facto queen, never. That was never something that happened in France. That's something that has happened in England with Elizabeth I, Mary I, Empress Matilda. That was in the early Middle Ages, high Middle Ages, like 11th century. She was the mother of Henry II, Empress Matilda. We also have Maria Theresa, who was the Austrian queen. Okay, she was the queen of Holy Roman Empire. She was the only female ruler of the Holy Roman Empire, but France never had a wife, a woman as a queen. Her father essentially made her a queen. She was a regent, not a queen, because she wanted to protect his son, who was the de facto king. Because he was afraid of Richard, that's what I'm trying to say. And I told this to my professor in history, and he said that I should stop doing that, I shouldn't do it. I have studies to do, focus on your studies, he said, and forget about the book. And he said, put your novel. I said that I'm writing a novel about Margaret, and I want to publish that too. But I said that's fiction, but I want to speak about history like Philippa Gregory explained. Like I like Philippa Gregory, but I want to write my perspective with historical sources. So yeah, fiction, but not exactly, if that makes sense. So like some parts are fiction, like the romance and shit, but not everything. And I said, if you can help me with both. So I primarily asked for my book that I didn't write yet. I said how I can do it because you did it with James II. You published a scholarly book about a specific king. I want to do the same with Margaret, but speak about that she was not a witch, and Elizabeth Woodville was not a witch either, and that Richard was a murderer, and use all that I said about the French sources. And then I said I have also a fictional book, and I want to publish that because I have aspiring dreams as an author. And he said, don't do it. And he said, put the novel in the drawer, about my novel. And then he said, put the entire concept or the project of the book, he told me, put it in the, forget it. He told me to trust it, essentially. He told me to trust my thoughts about Richard on the trash can, and my novel, he said to put it in the drawer. That's what he said. He said put it in the shelf. That's what he said. and he said, focus on your studies. And yeah, obviously I cried, I wanted to take my life, I prayed to God, and that's how I ended up being a prophet, and I am happiest, I couldn't be happiest for my choice. Hi, I am a prophet for 6 years almost, and that's the best thing I have ever done in my life, being a prophet. I am in a league with guys that slept in caves, on their sides, with woods in their backs, eating insects in the desert, and I fucking love my job. It's the best thing, and yeah, that's why I'm speaking about that now from my mystical perspective, because now I can say why I know some stuff about the story that I didn't exactly say this the first time. Yeah, obviously the fact that I said about Louis Pouvoir Facaz is actually something that can reinforce what I mean about Richard III, but at the same time, it didn't really work because these people have fought with the truth. As I always say, they don't really want to know the truth. So you can say confidently that maybe it's time to do the spirit work and bring ontology back in the game and discuss why Richard III was actually a murderer. So, without further delay, I'm gonna put the video. I'm gonna discuss everything that comes to my mind. Maybe I will skip, and let's play Mario Party Jamboree in the shopping mall. And yeah, I think it's gonna be fun, isn't it? Oh God, hold on. I'm gonna do this, and then I won. I won. Okay, so let's continue. Let's begin, I suppose. So that's the beginning of the game. Not the game, the video. If I find something that I wanna discuss about, I'm gonna do it. If not, I'm gonna skip and go specifically in the witchcraft section. Okay. So this is a documentary. Attention, everyone. Bowser Jr. is here. Okay. Yeah, I'll be your ally, I guess. Just don't keep me waiting. Okay, so we are working with Bowser Jr. Okay, I like that. Now I bet you're wondering what sort of good things would happen with Bowser Jr. as your ally. When you land on a space, set half coin steel trap on the space you are on. Okay. Plus, if you're with an ally, you can get to do all kinds of things twice. You can even get 2 stars at once. Okay. Okay. So, as I said, this you only have 3 turns to get Bowser Jr. as an ally, so go. So what I am saying is that these documentaries with scholars, David Starkey is the scholar that doesn't take shit. The other ones are pretty much taking shit, apart from I think one guy or something. So yeah, let's listen. Roll this.
More than 500 years ago, 2 princes vanished. In the summer of 1483, the heir to the throne, Edward, and his younger brother, Richard, Duke of York, were spotted playing outside the Tower of London. They were never seen again. It's the greatest murder mystery in British history. First, the princes were imprisoned, and then, it's thought, they were killed. The man who's usually accused of the killing is their uncle. He seized the throne from Edward and made himself Richard III.
It says that I can go for drawings. I think you can see it, so I'm not gonna read them again. You can read them on the screen. My camera is very well, so you can read it as well. Pause if you want to, or go back to listen what I'm listening in my video. Okay.
Richard is not a fool.
That's Sir Starkey. Okay.
Accused of the killing is their uncle. He seized the throne from Edward and made himself Richard III. Richard is not a fool. If you usurp a king, there's only one thing you do with him. Sooner or later, you kill him.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you usurp a king, I have written that even in my story with Creon and his mother Athena. If you usurp, you have to kill them because they pose a threat for the ruling. Yeah, sometimes it hasn't happened in history, but you have the guy around. So, for example, with Puyi in China, you had the guy walking around in his shoes, watering flowers. And if you are like Helga, that's not exactly how you'd like to live the life, more probably. But Mao took the power from a guy that didn't have any support at that point, if that makes sense. Like, who would want that guy instead of Mao? Mao was like the cool guy, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain. Like, he was the communist, he was the fresh air. Like, this happened even in Europe, that's what I'm trying to explain. I'm explaining here as a European, obviously, but he was the breath of fresh air. Obviously, they would choose Mao if they had the choice, the people, obviously, for all types of reasons. For money reasons, for quality reasons, for cool, as I said. Nobody wanted to have king anymore back then. They wanted to have something different. Okay, so obviously, but Mao didn't kill him, but paraded him like that, so no everybody knew that he didn't kill him. That makes sense. And if you think that's nothing, no, it is everything, because even our king Constantine that lost the throne, we took the nationality from him. I disagree very much with that, to be fair, but like when we were seeing him on the news, we knew that we didn't kill him. So that's very important. It's very, like, you know that the current government is not as shitty as the previous one, pretty much, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's like what happened with the Hunger Games. Like, Coin, when she took power from Snow, she was planning to continue Hunger Games with the kids of the capital. So what Katniss knew from that moment on about Coin, Alma Coin, was that she is the exact same thing like Snow, because she's gonna continue what happened to the districts with the capital kids. So obviously she was gonna say, okay, she's the exact same thing, even though she comes from a district and not from the capital herself. So by having a monarch not killed from a communist or from a democratical party like in Greece, that means that the current party is somewhat better, if that makes sense, than the previous regime. And that just didn't happen with the princess in the tower. They were killed, they were vanished, as they say. Okay, at least Boo has reached the star. Okay, so you want the star? Yes, I want it. I took the star. Congratulations, Boo. Let's see, the next star will be... Okay, it will be here. Okay, so let's continue. So as I was saying, you understand, if you see them walking around in their shoes, watering flowers, or complaining in the interviews they are giving in Greek television, I lost my throne, for example, you see them around and you are like, okay, Mao and Karamanlis for us, they aren't such weirdos like the previous regime, you get what I mean? Here you have a guy that his nephews who are aged 9 and 11 nowhere to be seen. The last time they saw them, it was I think August or early September. They were playing in the yard. They weren't seen or heard again, nor even their laughter, and that's creepy because they were kids. Two kids from the same mother, and as a woman myself, I sympathize with poor Elizabeth, the queen, too much because she never learned where her kids are. She never had the chance to go and leave a flower in their grave. Not even that. Let alone that she would have clothes behind to remember them, their toys. I don't know their baby stuff. I don't know. Some mothers, even mine. My mother has my baby teeth in a box. She remembers them because yeah, it was part of me growing up, and many mothers have them. I suppose she could have them as a European woman. European mothers do that sometimes. First hair you cut, stuff like that. First nails you cut, they keep them as like a memory, and I just think like as a European woman that she was, maybe she would have these things, and she never had a chance to say goodbye to her boys, and I just feel sorry for her and what scholars say about her. And it's been for 500 years, yes, but I can't trust people when they don't give the dues to such people from the past, nor even their dead queen, for losing their children. I can't trust them neither with their own children, neither with students they might have at the university, not even with foreign kids, aka take a gun, enter a class and mass shoot everybody. I can't trust such people because if you don't give proper dues and virtue to dead people and ancestors and royalty, how can you do it in the living people? Maybe my father says do that in the living people and then the other, but in my view as a Greek, if you don't do it in your head for people that you haven't met or for people that don't exist like fictional characters in a novel, how can you do it in a living person? Like the way you behave to everything, even a plant, even a flower, it can show your heart about a real human person, because if you see somebody with love, you will see every creation as love, even people that don't have a soul in them, like a fictional character. That's what I mean. And historians and scholars do that, and I find it devastating. That's what I'm saying.
But was Richard guilty? No smoking gun has been found which pins the crime on him. One of his most passionate supporters is a top Hollywood defense lawyer.
We must convict him beyond a reasonable doubt. And if we were to put that to an ordinary jury, was Richard guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of killing his nephews in the Tower of London? I'm confident that I would get an acquittal every time.
The caricature of this evil hunchback, this dark, bent character who willingly wants these young boys dead, I think that is so far from the truth.
Now Richard's body,
Like as a woman who has studied mysticism and the occult myself, like I have been involved in the occult, what she says comes from the spirits, and I know she wouldn't admit it if she wanted, even if she wanted to, because she can't. When you are involved in the occult, you are not supposed to do what I'm doing. The fact that I'm doing it has to do with the fact that I'm working for Yahweh and not for Zeus, but that doesn't mean that you are expected to do what I am doing. You are not expected. You shouldn't speak about him. to people that haven't opened the third eye. That's why our existence is like the vampires in Twilight and the witches in Harry Potter. You're not expected to tell people about like all this type of crap. That makes sense. And she says the hunchback who wants his nephew's murdered is far from the truth. So she's using a mix of emotion combined with rational speech. That's deeply spirit language, because even I use spirit language in the way I speak. I say that fuck, I could use the elevator. I didn't think of that. Oh fuck. Oh my god, he took the star. He took the second star. Fuck. So, what I'm saying is that uh, when you when you speak about the spirits, like I used passionate language, I said like for the mother, but this language comes for us like the motherhood. I speak about my spirit, who is Yahweh. He's the God of the Bible, and his primal emotion is love. He is always motivated by love. He is love, like God is love. Okay, uh, her God, the emotion that he has is doubt. The first day you meet with the devil in the Bible is, what if God lies to you? Eat from the tree to know the true from wrong. So he casts doubt. If I can say what type of emotion drives the devil, that emotion is doubt. Okay, he's doubting, he's causing division. Devil, division, diabolos in Greek means division, and obviously as a result doubt. So if you ask me what her emotion behind her rational speech is doubting. What if he wasn't a hunchback? That means he didn't want to murder his nephews. That's Socratic dialectic there, and obviously she's using it to prove that Richard was a nice guy, and her reasoning is not he was a good man, therefore he wouldn't kill his nephews, as I did with Margaret. She's using doubt. So the spirit language behind her speech is doubt. That's how I can explain to a non-mystic that she is a mystic. Because for me, spirit language, you can see the ghosts. Spirit language is my native language. I understand it without having to without having to guess or analyze. I don't analyze anything. I hear it and I recognize the speech immediately. That's what happens. That's what I'm saying, right? So yeah. So I have to pick. Oh gosh. Okay.
The car park in 2012 is finally being laid to rest. So we've brought together the leading experts and the latest scholarship to answer some key questions. Was Richard responsible for the murder of his nephews?
Okay.
Was
Okay.
he manipulated?
I'm trying to find now as it's playing the last part with Richard and... Yeah, I think that's the one.
And I think he
yeah, okay, I found it. So this is the last part.
Buckingham.
Okay, so Yoshi wins. He was the first one. I won second place, right? I'm still first because I have more stars. No change. Now we are speaking about the incident in the council where Richard lied about magic, witchcraft. I have explained witchcraft doesn't exist, but I can explain even more what the scholars say about magic. Hey everyone, every 5 turns we'll have a flash sale. During this turn all items are half price including stars. It's a super opportunity that only lasts 1 turn, don't miss out. Okay. Okay, so hold on a second, I'm trying to find the exact spot.
Full royal resident.
Well, all along, he was vulnerable.
And in warded by us.
Yeah, I think we are here. Right? Yeah. Leave it here.
Richard convinces himself that Hastings is in collusion with the Woodvilles.
And the problem is that Hastings and every person should be with the Woodvilles because the king was the little boy 11 years old. It was not Richard. So the fact that we discuss if the usurper should usurp the throne is crazy, because for that standard back in the era the crown should remain with the king that was 11 and his mother, the queen, who was the regent, and the brother that had the rights and all that crap. And that didn't happen like that. The crown was usurped and these people discuss it. My father says like they usurped my throne for Zeus. Yes, exactly that. We're having a flash sale. It's a big deal. Okay, yes, I want something. I'm gonna buy... this randomly.
For the Tudor historian Thomas More, what happened next is evidence of Richard's volatile and villainous character.
Thomas More is the exact same dude that wrote Utopia. He's the Christian theologian. My father says, are they going against him because he's a Christian? I think so, yes, I think so. Because what he said about witchcraft in his account, I have read it, it was very correct actually. It was not wrong what he said.
More described how events came to a head at a routine meeting of the Royal Council.
There is this initial wonderful conviviality. They all turn up relatively early in the morning. Richard is in a bright and sunny mood.
After a brief conversation, he left.
And Richard then, according to Moore, re-enters as this changed figure, this sort of lightning shift, which again, of course, is what we see in Shakespeare, these astonishing shifts of Richard's mood. Suddenly, the sun goes out, and the storm and the thunderclouds appear.
What were they worthy to have that imagined the destruction of me, being so near in blood to the king and the protector of his royal person and his realm?
Moore has Richard representing the fact that he's been enchanted, that a spell has been laid upon him, that his arm has been newly withered.
If they had so heinously done, they'd be worthy of heinous punishment.
And you get Hastings going, perhaps, and Richard's mounting rage. If, no ifs.
Traitor! I arrest thee! What, me, my lord? Thee! By St. Paul, I'll not to dinner till I see thy head off!
Oh my god, they hit me.
Hastings is dragged out, his head put on a log. No form of trial. It's unique.
Like, we're seriously discussing about witchcraft. I have seen historians saying, yes, but maybe they believed it back then, they believed many crazy stuff. If as a Christian myself, I grew up and I was raised in a Christian European country, and if you are attacked by magic, that's what I believe. Like, I didn't practice black magic myself, as I said. Like, that's against the ethos of a Christian. And I was always a Christian, regardless. So if you are attacked by witchcraft, we believe as Christians, it's because you are not a good Christian yourself. So that condemns yourself if you are not protected in the magical space, if that makes sense. Like, if you are attacked by magic, like the church believes in witchcraft. I don't. I have explained why I don't believe in witchcraft, but what I'm saying is that um, the church doesn't say that blindly you can be attacked by magic. It doesn't say that. It says that if you are attacked by magic, it has to do with the fact that you are not a good Christian, and you have to repent yourself for the bullshit you have done as a Christian, that you have sinned. You have to correct your ways, because the fact that magic, that Jesus isn't protecting you, like you aren't protected by magic, has to do with the fact that you're not a good Christian. That's what they believe. I don't say I agree with the doctrine. I don't say I agree with the doctrine. I say that they say it. I don't agree with it, but I say they say it, and I say that as a Christian that grew up in a Christian oriented society in the Christian continent of Europe, the fact that we discuss this seriously and we say that, like, yeah, people believed these things back then. No, they didn't blindly believe these things. If you were attacked by witchcraft, even for that time space, okay, if you had issues with magic, it had to do that you are not a good Christian. So even if they believed that, and the fact that Richard said, I am bewitched, the gravity wouldn't be stumbled on the witch herself. Yeah, also to her, but that's not the Holy Roman Inquisition at this point, okay? We speak about an era that this hasn't started yet. But we speak about an era where people were all Christians. So we have a guy saying, I am attacked by witchcraft. It's this woman. The problem for a Christian back then wouldn't be if you are attacked by a witch, because that's not the problem. The problem is that you have the mark of Satan on your hand, like women were burned later for having birthmarks and being labeled as marks of Satan. So the problem is not gender, as they always say, it's who is bewitched by the devil. So if you are bewitched by the devil, like Richard, the problem is with you, it's not with the others. And if you're like Helga, then this condemns Richard, what he said. Why he said it? Because he could say it and nobody would say anything, because he was a king, and he took out Hastings to be executed in the same day, and nobody would say anything, neither that you are working with the devil, not even you are demon possessed or you are usurping a crown. Nothing of all this. The scholars that say these lies are either working against my father actively, or they just distort the truth. Because even for that time frame, for a, like, if Richard was a random peasant, let's put it that way, and he said, I am bewitched, he would be condemned because he's bewitched, and they would ask him, what did you do wrong to be bewitched? There's something sinful in your behavior to be bewitched, not with the person that did spell on you. And I don't explain all this to say that magic works. I don't believe it works. I don't believe in all this crap. I'm just saying that even for Christians that believe in these things, they are not unreasonable as to believe, hey, I have the mark of Satan on me, a random woman bewitched me. Even if you are bewitched, the church, even the Church of Greece, who is not like the Church of the UK or the Rome, says that if you have the mark of Satan on you, if you have human hairs in your house from a spell by a witch, a pagan, and it has worked, they say in the church, if it works, and you have issues in your household, has to do with the fact that you are a bad person and you have to repent. So the gravity falls on you again. It doesn't fall on the witch. It's not something that Christians do, and I can explain why. It has to do with the fact that we are Christians, and if you have affiliations with the devil, that means that you are not a proper Christian. You don't care what others do outside of the church. And I agree with that, but I don't agree with the doctrines, as I said. So what the scholars say is very fundamentally ignorant of our history and the Christian faith that dominated our households for centuries. And it's crazy, that's what I'm saying.
It's an act of astonishing, calculated violence, and it works.
Hastings was executed without trial, just as Thomas More said. But there may be an altogether different explanation for the dramatic action Richard took.
It's a moment, perhaps, of astonishing fear on the part of Richard, Duke of Gloucester, to whom it's been revealed that Hastings was probably planning an armed conflict against him.
Richard struck very rapidly, and maybe he got some information which confirmed his belief that Hastings was plotting against him. Maybe he genuinely went out of the room, got some extraordinary information, came back in again.
It's a little bit like a frightened dog in a corner snapping at the aggressor. He feels threatened, he feels surrounded, and he lashes out.
As you can see, they are portraying that the guy that attacks is actually a good guy, and that's crazy because that's not the case with an aggressor. They are never the like, I don't say that a person who is I'm not saying that a person who is how do you maneuver this shit? Okay. Okay. I couldn't work it. Couldn't work with the controllers. It was crazy for me. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So what he says, I don't say that a good person can't be angry. All the prophets and the apostles were angry. They are humans. I'm just saying that he's portraying an angry dog. That's not a good metaphor. As a good person, that reminds me of the beast in the Revelation and the book of Daniel, because you are having a guy that actually does stupid stuff as a good guy here, and I don't know how to feel about it. Like, he does bad stuff and you portray him like he's good. I don't know why anybody would do that, apart from the fact that they're working with the devil, because they like the Revelation says about a beast that's actually very aggressive, and that's not a good metaphor. And these scholars use the exact same imagery for a guy that is framed as a killer, and they say no, he didn't do anything wrong. So of course I see it as a little bit suspicious, and Look, as an ex-mystic, I see it as a way to confirm that this guy is actually this guy and this woman. Like I don't know how many people did we see. Okay, we saw Ashton Hill, the the scholar. We saw the scholar, and we saw the other woman. I don't remember her name. And Philippa Gregory was the second woman was Philippa Gregory. They say that he was frightened and he was scared and he was aggressive out of fear. If you act aggressively out of fear, that's the imaginary the devil has in the Bible for the reason that his time is short. The devil comes with anger down to you because his time is short. And what is he? He's the spirit of fear. What are we? We are a spirit of love. We are not the spirit of fear. So what does this prove to us? That these people are speaking from the devil. They are evoking not the language of the biblical God. They invoke the language that the guy we identify as the devil in the Bible uses. Fear, fear for others, fear for yourself, aggressiveness, anger, witchcraft, as I explained. Everything aligns with scripture, and if you want add extra biblical proof for what I'm saying, I say as a mystic, as an ex-mystic, this speech comes from Zeus. It's from the guy that I was speaking to, and like as a mystic, that's all I can say with that. Like, there is another explanation. Yeah, the other explanation is the pagan, as you can say, the explanation that exactly confirms the biblical explanation that this guy was a killer, and pagans today, because killers are supported usually by the devil, obviously, he was a good guy because he had to do what he had to do, and we support a figure like Creon who killed his mother to take the throne, pretty much. That's what I'm saying.
And there's yet another possibility. Could the arrest of Hastings be the work not of Richard, but of his scheming second in command?
No. Because he didn't come in and say, I have the mark of Satan on my body, so it's not his. Why should it be his? He was not forced to come in and say this stuff.
Hastings will lay down his life for Edward IV's son and heir. I don't think anybody had any doubt about that at all. I imagine that Buckingham said, if you want to be king, you have got to get rid of Hastings.
Three days after the execution came the next dramatic move. Once again, Buckingham was at the centre of events. He went to Westminster Abbey to demand that Elizabeth Woodville hand over to Richard her younger son.
If he's going to usurp the throne, he has to have both princes, because if he captures one and says that he's never going to release him, the right to be king just transfers to the next brother.
Yeah, but we speak about a guy, that's what I say, that they are reflecting blame. If Hastings wanted, Hastings didn't have a right to the throne. Who would support Hastings? Come on, he didn't have any right to the throne. Like, his right to the throne of England was as powerful as mine. I don't get why we discuss this. The fact, my father is laughing, the fact that we say if he wanted to have the throne, he would have to have both kids under his care to kill them, obviously. So he had to kill both the kids and Richard. And Richard has a son with his wife. So he had to kill Richard, his son, and the two kids from Elizabeth Woodville, and obviously the daughters. I don't know why people would prefer Hastings and Buckingham and Henry Tudor and everybody than the daughters of Edward IV, who was a very loved king as well. Apart from the fact that he was the king, He was also a very beloved king, so I don't understand why we discuss this question. And like, I am sure that the English people, if they didn't have the choice to have a guy on the throne, they would prefer their princess Elizabeth of York or any girl of the Woodville family to marry a foreign king or a British king, a British prince, sorry, like a Scottish prince or a Welsh prince or an English prince, for that guy to become king of England, apart from Hastings, who didn't have any claim to the throne. Right? That doesn't make sense. Like, Hastings or Buckingham preferably would have to marry the princess of the family that had blood from Edward III. This is how Europeans saw their families back then. I don't understand why we discuss this. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
So what Richard has to do is to get the second one and put them in the tower together.
Elizabeth Woodville is left with no choice. The abbey is surrounded by troops, and it's made very clear to her that if she doesn't surrender him, they will break sanctuary.
If he breaks sanctuary and kidnaps the prince, then who's to say that there isn't some kind of armed resistance and the prince gets killed in it? So most people think that she hands the prince over to Richard under this sort of duress.
For many experts, the handing over of Richard, Duke of York, is a decisive turning point.
The very fact that he gets his hands on the younger brother seals the fate of the elder brother.
Yeah, because
Richard
because if they have both, that means that none of them will inherit the throne, and obviously not the first. They both will die. Yeah, it's very dirty. That's what I discuss, and that's what Starkey is trying to explain. That we speak about the murderer all along, and we just play with the words, and we try to frame him as a good guy, and that's not the case. And we don't care if he was a good guy or if he was forced. We don't care about that triviality. We just care that scholars are lying about him. That's a problem. And David Starkey has been very vocal about it too, that there are people, that scholars, that are lying about him. He hasn't said it exactly as I am saying it, because he already faces a lot of backlash. So if he does what I say, obviously they're gonna, yeah, he's gonna get eradicated from the planet. My father laughs, but he tries to say that they are changing history in all these crazy ways, and it's crazy for a rational person like me, like him, like they are portraying women that didn't do anything in the history as survivors and shit. They are portraying like people that didn't do anything as, I don't know, like the people that changed the world. People that didn't do anything bad as villains as good people, and that's irritating for someone who has studied history extensively like us.
kill the elder prince because he's got the younger prince. Having both of them makes it, in a sense, assert.
I'm not ready to believe that at this point he said, oh, those kids have to be killed. And I don't think there's any real evidence that he thought that. Controlled, yes, he would want them both there. Didn't want them in separate places. But I don't believe that he had decided he has to kill them.
Yeah, he doesn't believe, he says, that he wanted, like, he's a scholar, he says he doesn't believe he wanted them killed. How do you believe that? Every king in the medieval kingdoms believed that he had his hands on the king. And if you think they were deluded, explain to me how the Spider King, like, Spider King, do you understand what this means? Like, he was a guy that was planning to kill his enemies like a spider. That's what the name means. That means that Louis was not the best guy in the world. That's what it means. And we discuss if this king was actually clever enough to distinguish a murderer from an innocent person. He was afraid of Richard. He thought that maybe he will kill his son. That's what I'm saying. This is in the French archives that I was reading when I was at the department. Unfortunately, I don't remember where I read it. I don't. But I know that this is a fact because I read it in old sources. I don't know if it is Domenico Mancini or if it is the Croyland Chronicles or Rouge or anything French. I don't remember exactly who wrote that, if it was direct French shit or not, but I know that it was okay. He was betrayed by the booze. Okay, but I know that it's like it's something that is said, and that's why the king of France wanted a regent. He was desperate, he was afraid, maybe because his son was a child, maybe he will have even an invasion from outside. Okay, why are they attacking me so much now? I don't know. Anyways, so what he says, like, I don't believe, like, how do you believe it? Like, when you have a belief, it has to be supported with something, like, either a factual claim or with, I don't know, like, spirit work. And I think spirit work is involved because you don't get up one day. That's my problem. When you have sources to explain otherwise, for example, we have sources that say that Big Bang is considered to be the way that the world started to exist, and I come out of nowhere and I say, no, that's wrong. I didn't exactly wake up one day and start saying this. Yahweh told me this. So if this man wakes up one day and says, I don't think the sources are correct, he was either contacted by Yahweh or by the devil. And by all means, the fact that he is defending a killer shows that he is actually working with the devil. Who would excuse a guy that shows that he's actually like a killer? Obviously, the devil. So that's what I'm saying. That's how you see that they are working with the devil.
I find it hard to think that he was the kind of man who would have killed his two nephews, given the enormous loyalty he felt for his brother.
That shows like the emotion that he has. I don't believe he would have killed them because he was loyal. Yes, but even though he was loyal, he usurped the throne. So can you put two and two together into this? No. So how are you so confident he was a good guy, as you say? Because somebody told you, somebody who knew him, somebody either from the dead or from the spirits. Because the dead people can't talk, that's what makes them dead, obviously. So you were not contacted by a dead, you were contacted by someone living. Who is alive since the 15th century? Yes, it's creepy, but we have to speak in this manner in order to get down to the core. If you speak about a person that you don't know, like you know them, who has contacted you from the living that was alive back in the 15th century to this day, almost 400 years old and even more? The devil and God. If God is not the person you contacted and not a dead person, then the devil. That's how you make it count. You get what I mean?
Richard had both boys in his grasp, but they were still the legitimate heirs to the throne. Until a startling allegation transformed the political landscape and allowed Richard to take the crown.
At one point in June 1483, Bishop Stillington, the Bishop of Bath and Wells, drops a big spanner in the works by making an announcement to the Royal Council that he had married Edward IV to Eleanor, Lady Butler, daughter of the Earl of Shrewsbury, several years before Edward had married Elizabeth Woodville, and that therefore the second marriage is bigamous and that all the children of it are illegitimate. Therefore, it ruled Edward IV's Woodville children out of the succession. And I think that absolutely floored the Royal Council and probably floored Richard himself, because I don't think he knew about it beforehand.
For Richard's supporters, Stillington's revelations are a game changer. If the princes were illegitimate, he had no incentive to kill them. But others think Richard cooked up the allegations himself. It was another treacherous act that would end in murder.
I think Richard had a major problem, and it's one that I don't think historians have sufficiently recognised.
Exactly.
Which was how to get rid of Edward V.
Yeah.
How do you get rid of an innocent 12-year-old boy?
Yes.
And you come up with this litter of charges.
Stillington, a bishop, presumably a man who has never been engaged in any kind of corruption, at least we don't have any evidence of it, comes to Richard and says, I was there, I'm an eyewitness to your brother marrying or having a pre-contract with Eleanor Butler. Well, why would Richard not believe that? People have looked for centuries now for a reward or some way that Stillington was corrupt. There is none.
Parliament declared Edward illegitimate. On the 6th of July 1483, Richard was crowned in his place.
All this shows that he's a
But the
killer.
problem of the princes in the tower remained. So who solved it? Did
Exactly.
Richard kill them? Was it the Duke of Buckingham? Or was there another explanation altogether?
You can see that they are actually, yeah, what they say doesn't really align pretty much with what happened, as you can see.
It may be that he intended to put Henry on the throne and that he'd have a better deal with Henry than he had with Richard. He could do it and then blame it on Richard because everyone would say, as they did, Richard was the guy in charge and Richard had custody of the kids, and if they're dead, it must be Richard.
Okay. So I am almost done with the game, as you can see. I have only 2 turns left. Okay.
There's one final, extraordinary theory. What if the princes weren't murdered at all?
Dr. John Argentine was physician to the young Edward V. And what Argentine was doing was regularly visiting this young person in the Tower of London. Now, why do doctors regularly visit patients? Isn't it usually because they're ill? I suggest that Edward V was ill.
Even if he was ill, maybe he was poisoned. Maybe he was poisoned by the doctor. So even if he was ill, why didn't anybody come out and say, look, that guy is ill, he's 11, he's ill, he died, here is the body. Why we never had the body? Only a murderer is hiding a body. Because the body is evidence that something is wrong. The fact that Austin Hill died without facing the consequences of what he taught, it's crazy for me. Like, not exactly like consequences. Like, I can't believe that we live in a world that he went unpunished for what he taught. Like, I suggest he was ill. Even if he was ill, he died and nobody let us know where he is. And just because I don't have a PhD, that doesn't mean that my voice doesn't matter in this. Because we speak about a kid, and we speak about a kid that died, and if he was ill, he was an 11-year-old kid, and he was away from his mother. Shouldn't Richard, if he was a good person, reunite the kid with the mother because he was ill? Even if that meant that it costed his life in the end because it was a kid, and be like, I don't want a child to be alone in a tower with his brother for the crown, just because he's a king, because he is a child, and the child, when it has fever, the mother is in agony, and so it is the child, and they need to be together. The fact that we discuss this seriously makes me cringed. I can't believe it.
If you look at the list of the children of Edward IV and Elizabeth Woodville, 4 of them died before the age of about 13. So for Edward V to have died at that sort of age would have been nothing unusual.
The tower is incredibly unhealthy. There are plague years, most hot summers. This is summertime. Some people think that Edward was unwell anyway with something that might be bone cancer. He was complaining of toothache. His physician was in attendance.
But still, I question, as a woman, as a mother, as a Christian, why, if the kid had cancer, historians out there, scholars, you make your position worse with what you say. You prove that you talk with the devil, because who would want Philippa Gregory, if you ever listen to me, you are a mother. Would you like your son and your daughter, I don't know what exactly you have, would you like your baby boy, your baby girl, your baby them, be alone with bone cancer at age 11 without your supervision, just because you are famous? Wouldn't you want them to be with you? So why do you excuse a man who let a child with cancer, you say he had a cancer, I didn't say it, be in a castle, isolated, instead of being with the mother? He had toothache. When I had toothache, I wanted my mother when I was a child. I had problems with my teeth when I was a young child. When I was 11, I was wearing braces because I had issues with my teeth, and I wanted my mom. And now you say that that guy had cancer and he was away from his mom, and you are somehow you guys are all okay with that. And I don't understand why, and I don't understand how you can be okay with that. I can't wrap around my head with this, with the fact that you are okay with that. It's not. Nothing is okay with all this shit.
I think it's interesting that nobody ever later claimed to be Edward V. So I think that it's probable that Edward V did die in 1483 or soon after.
And he was a child. He was 11 years old.
But a number of characters did
When I was
claimed.
11, I was beginning to be a young girl. I started having a sense of self, a sense of sexuality, a sense of being me, and I became an emo when I was 11. That child didn't have any of these choices. And if you are like, how could he become emo back then? This is surreal, exactly like your arguments that Richard didn't do anything wrong and he was loved by the people and all the crap that you guys say. It's absolutely disgusting. I don't know how to feel about you. I don't know how to feel about you, honestly. You disgust me. You are excusing a murderer, all of you. How can you possibly sleep when you are excusing a murderer? That's a fucking ass murderer there. I don't know how to feel. Like, as a Greek, I am astonished. We have people in my country, in the Greek Empire, even Greek emperors. I'm not saying that they were perfect, no way, but it was rare. Usually we don't do such crap as a nation. We value family too much and how others will see us as family members. But in Greece, we have emperors who killed their family members for the throne, and we admit it, and we don't have problem with that. We actually make fun of them, and we say, what an idiot, he killed his family for that. And you support such individuals instead of pointing fingers and say, what the fuck, you killed a family member for the throne. Are you okay? You are okay with the sin that comes into all this.
Be Richard, Duke of York. that's fueled speculation that the younger prince escaped from the tower. The most famous of these pretenders, Perkin Warbeck, appeared during the reign of Henry VII.
Perkin Warbeck turns up at the courts of Europe, and he finally ends up with his aunt, Margaret of York, who is now Duchess of Flanders, and she claims him as her nephew. One reason why I think one really has got to treat this pretender with a great deal of seriousness is because Henry Tudor spends a fortune trying to capture him.
Henry Tudor is severely plagued by Perkin Warbeck, but there's nobody really in any doubt, and he certainly isn't, that this is an imposter. There's no question at all.
Given the conflicting theories and the lack of hard evidence, can we really convict Richard of the murder of the princes?
I don't believe we asked this
It's
question.
really equivocal, but to me, the evidence, when weighed carefully, indicates a pretty good argument that if they were killed,
Oh,
Richard didn't do it.
okay. You talk with the devil, though.
One thing I can tell you, as a lawyer, is that you give me a jury in this case, and I'll get an acquittal for Richard III.
Okay. I will pretend that he doesn't speak with the devil,
But
even
new
though he's
research
dead.
has turned
Okay.
up which may pin the crime on Richard after all. James Tyrrell was the man Thomas More accused of murdering the princes on Richard's orders. In 1502, Tyrrell was on trial for an unrelated offence. According to More, it was at this point that he confessed to the murders, although many historians dispute More's claim. But David Starkey has noticed that Tyrrell's trial was attended by some very important visitors: Henry VII and his wife Elizabeth, the sister of the missing princes.
They've just lost their son. They've just lost Prince Arthur. And yet, both of them go
Look,
to the
I am very tired actually. I don't think the video will get more enjoyable if I continue. This game doesn't end here. It has more. I will try to leave it either on pause or I don't know. Maybe I will leave it on pause. I will ask Copilot. Can I leave the game on a pause to continue later, because I got tired and didn't finish? I don't play online. I play alone with CPU. Okay, how to do it? Press the home button. Okay, so I have to do this and leave it like that. Okay, I can do that, I suppose. So hope you enjoyed the video so far. I can discuss the latest things about this case tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed my video. I will see you tomorrow when we will finish this. Bye.